Welcome back to the Rich Stylist Podcast. It's Ashley and Alex here again to talk about your hair extension business. And today especially, we're going to talk about really the formula for success in business and more particularly your hair extension business. Really the three things that absolutely must happen in order to have an epic hair extension business.
One that we call, or usually advertise anyway, like a 10K a month hair extension business. But it's so funny, like we were just at dinner last night and we are talking about this 10K number, which is a great number for most people. But I saw a video the other day that 10K, which would roughly be $120,000 a year. The American dream used to be like six figures, right? So it used to be this 100K number. You got there, you had enough money to live a pretty comfortable life, provide for a family, go on some vacations, save for a rainy day. I just don't think that's the case anymore. That's what the video was saying anyway. It was saying that, okay, like this is actually not a lot of money right now. And I'm not going to bore anyone with the financial data, but if you look at the cost of living versus the cost of wages and pay and average income, it's not even close. It is crazy. So the 10K number, it's been funny lately, seeing that's been part of our messaging for the last couple of years that I'm like, oh gosh, is this enough? And by the way, 10K is not the minimum that people are earning inside of Rich Stylist Academy.
No, it actually has to be like, it's like the first level that you want to get to.
Yeah.
Like even right now, whether, if you're not in Rich Stylist, like you want to get to that 10K is just the first step. As a minimum, yeah. As a minimum, absolutely.
It's not the top of the mountain.
Not even close.
It's like base camp now.
But it's crazy because, looking at that YouTube and reading that article, it was so interesting because especially depending on like your generation, your parents, I said, if you can get $100K a job, $100K a year job, no matter what industry that was in, it was like you were like, it was the pinnacle of success, especially after going to college and you get a job and a career. And because making that much money, making $10,000 a month, you could basically do, what you wanted to within that American dream. Like you mentioned, like buy a house and do this and that, take a great vacation with your family once or twice a year, maybe. And now again, filming this in 2024, $10,000 a month, like no matter what industry you're in, things can still feel pretty tight.
Very tight.
I don't want to be like offensive and be like, y'all for real. But it can be very, very tight, and especially if you have kids. Oh my goodness. And especially if you want to do some things in your year and saving money for a house and car, and not to mention accidents, something happens to your
the
car.
Unexpected.
Your air conditioning goes out. Like, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but you get the point. But it was just an interesting conversation to think about, wow, getting to that 10K mark with your hair extension business.
Then you can relax.
And then you can relax because that's not the case anymore in 2024. That is just not the case. And even maybe 5+ years ago, it was a little bit more the case. Like, okay, maybe, but now it's not. So to me, it is like imperative to, like, you must get to 10K, especially if you have the vehicle of hair extensions. If you have gotten certified with a company and you know how to do hair extensions, my goodness, like 10K has got to happen immediately just so you can take a breather for a second and go, okay, I got to that. Hopefully your bills can be covered at that rate.
Yeah, you might at least stop feeling like you're drowning in financial problems.
Exactly. So that is like, get to that point. Things are paid for, covered for, perhaps. Again, I don't know everybody's details, but then it's like, okay, next level. The next level, it could be your own goals, whatever you want to do, but like 20K. It is like, get to 20K. And if that sounds crazy, I can tell you it's absolutely not if you're doing hair extensions
the right way.
Exactly. And
that's what we're going to talk about here.
And that's what we're going to talk about because the bar has been raised in 2024 where more money needs to be made so that you simply can live comfortably. Yeah. It's not about, it can be whatever you want it to be, but you have to get to the point where you can be comfortable and you're not worrying. And so you can do some things that you want to do, like pass beyond that 10K, like maybe add some little luxuries in your life or not feel so strapped and worried. Nonetheless, beyond 10K, it's very possible, very achievable. We see it all the time in Rich Stylist. And I will say, some people, they just come out of the woodwork, meaning like sometimes they're a little shy. They're like, their technical needs to be really worked on. Their mindset really needs to be worked on. And then they just radically blossom, and all of a sudden, a few months later, they're like, post in the group and say, bam, I'm making 20K a month. And I am like, holy shit, that is amazing. That is so awesome. So anyway, we're going to talk about this framework that can get you to those different levels that you desire to be, like financially, in your hair extension business. So Alex, why don't you walk us through, because you have you do a great job explaining those three, the framework.
Right. And the reason I do a great job of it,
yes, there is a reason.
Just so everyone knows, is because this is the exact framework and kind of mini coaching session that I've given over our consultation calls for Stylist Academy hundreds
You've
of
done
times
a couple of
at this stage, hundreds of times. And so I'll walk everyone through this framework. And this is really, if you think about it, this has been Ashley's journey and everything that she had to do and figure out by herself, which is now what gets taught inside of Stylist Academy. But here's the recipe. Here's the magic formula. Here's the framework for success with hair extensions. And this is what will undeniably help you get to minimum that 10K level per month, okay? And it's the same for getting to 20 and 30K. You're just scaling these different things, okay? You're adding more to each of them. So the place where it all starts, there's 3 steps within this whole thing. So the place where it all starts is step number 1. It starts with dream client attraction. Dream client attraction. Finding, attracting, and keeping, retaining what we call dream clients. Okay? The dream clients are clients that are a fit for you, fit for your brand, fit for your vibe, fit for your personality, and a fit for the price point that you want to be playing at. Okay? Fit for the price point that you want to be playing at. Now, that's a really interesting piece, because you and I, one day we'll do an episode where we just read the comments that get posted on our ads.
It would be very funny.
It'll be a very good one. Stay tuned for that. But there are buyers at every level. And so deciding, and all it is a decision. It just has to start with a decision. Deciding the price point that you want to be playing at is part of the first step in attracting dream clients. It's moving away from the stories that I've heard on some of these calls, which is I was always told that you had to do every kind of client, you had to be available for everyone. That's BS. I mean, those days are so long gone. What the market demands now is a specialist.
Yes.
People aren't looking for someone that is great at, men's beards and also strand by strand hair extensions. They're not looking for someone that is a self-proclaimed expert in both of those things. There are rare cases where you might be and you could be. I know
someone who's very good at strand by strand and beards.
Okay, yeah.
But again, the dream client isn't looking for both of those.
No.
Like typically.
Yeah, it's just very rare that you would come across that. And, in the rare case that you have someone that is a specialist in like most of those things or some of those things, at the end of the day, people are looking for someone that...
But even that example, which is an extreme example, it's still only 2 things.
Totally.
Like it's still a specialist, even though they're kind of opposite of each other.
Yeah.
But a lot of times what you see in the beauty industry, especially those like that have like a cosmetology license, like some states have like a hair license or whatever, but have a cosmetology license where you're like, you do men's cuts, you do kids cuts, you do color, you do highlighting services, you do extensions, you do waxings, you may even do some pedicures or nails.
Have you met anyone, by the way, who is like really happy with their business that does all of those things? I'll wait. Where it's like, oh, you were told to practice and do all of those things and learn how to do all of those things.
Someone who's just wildly happy, where they're like,
I love my business.
Perfect.
I am not exhausted.
I'm not exhausted. I'm not tired. I barely
love all of my clients from age 5 to 75.
Doing toenails. Waxings and toenails.
Yeah,
and then throw a little haircut in there and do an extension later. Listen, that's my perfect day.
Yeah. So dream client attraction, gotten a bit off track there, but dream client attraction, that's where it all starts. And so the way that we attract dream clients is through marketing, social media, messaging, branding, perception, all of these really, really important areas. And so this is your Instagram, your reels, the way you're putting yourself out there, your website, all of these things that attract dream clients. And yeah, like I said before, there are buyers at every level. Deciding who you want to cater to is the first step. Then figuring out how you're going to cater to them is the second. So yeah, dream client attraction, that's step number one, finding, attracting, and keeping dream clients versus the situation that a lot of stylists find themselves in, which is half their clients, they would, in fact, probably after doing these calls, 90% of someone's client base, I say like, would you call them dream clients? And they're like, no, I've maybe got one, maybe one or two.
Yeah.
And they always tell me, like, if I just had more of that person, if I had more of Susie, more of Lucy, that would be a great business. And yet their books are filled with these clients and services that they don't really want to be doing, that just got there by accident. Now, got them to this level, I'm not saying that's a terrible thing.
Sure.
But when you're wanting to rewrite the income that you're able to bring in, you've got to
rewrite the income for sure, and also just rewrite how you feel in a day. Like rewrite your energy and your joy and your passion.
Well, like I said, dream clients actually leave you feeling energized versus drained and burnt out.
Yes.
So, like anything. Here's the other funny thing with dream clients. So you might even have clients that you like. You might have clients that make you feel really, really good, but they do not pay premium prices or the prices that you want to cater to. So that's a really interesting one, right? Like, so in terms of feelings and vibes and whatever else in the service, you really like all of those things. They check all those boxes, but for the price point that you want to be playing at, if they aren't at that level of the price point that you want to be playing at, by definition, they're not a dream client. Now, do you need to let go of them? No, I'm not saying that. You can always keep your special cases, but just know that, you can maybe have one or two of those, but don't be surprised if you're not making the money that you want, if most of your business is that.
Exactly. And that's something I've been asked pretty often over, I don't know how long, the last 5, 6, 7, however many years we've been doing this, years. And people will say, oh my gosh, I really want to make more money, so I need to release some of these clients that are, not loving it, like not paying the rates that I need. I'm going to release these clients and accept new dream clients. But sometimes there's always like, but I have to let everyone go. I'm like, no. Listen, I'm not controlling your business. Like, you get to design the business that you want.
You can always keep one or two Karens.
You can keep whoever you want.
Yeah.
It's your business. Like, it's not mine. But my thing is, sometimes people, when there is they're going through a system and there's like a guide, or it's like, hey, I'm ready to elevate my business, they think like it has to be black and white. And it doesn't. Like, it's just create the business that you want. And if you love doing a few of your clients, you don't make as much money from them, but that brings you so much joy to do their hair and to connect with them, that's fine.
Just do it. It's got to be done deliberately versus from a place of guilt. Like, that's the really important thing. So the best advice that I could give there is that you've really got to deliberately pick your business and pick your charity. And too many hairstylists really mix both of those things, and it gets really like convoluted. And so, I mean, even in my life, like when I help someone with something, that is also a service that I charge for, like coaching, consulting, whatever it might be, and I do it for free in that case, I know that I am being charitable, right? And I feel good about it, but my charity bucket is only so big. Right. So it's like, I'm not going to overextend myself. And so you're picking and choosing those things.
And otherwise the tables turn. All of a sudden you feel like, well, I'm doing this to help someone because I like to help someone. And all of a sudden you'll begin to feel yourself feeling bitter and resentful. And that is the difference. That's when you know, like, oh, I think I actually did want to release this client or not do this charitable service, and must have been out of some guilt, even though I thought it wasn't. But anyway, that's just, I just want to say, like, sometimes these are not completely black and white. No. It doesn't have to be like,
you don't have to fire everyone day one either. Like, people come to Rich Stylists and they do say, oh God, do I have to let go of all my clients? No. And it is possible to take existing clients and turn them into dream clients.
Sure.
We've got systems for that. We've seen that happen a lot. There are ways to elegantly release clients without burning bridges. People screw that up all the time as well. See many people screw that up. So we've got systems and formulas for all of those things.
Before they join Rich Stylist.
No, they do.
Because like you
Yeah,
always
people don't
want
screw it up
people to
inside Rich
feel,
Stylist.
you always want people to feel respected and cared for. You're a professional.
Yeah.
It's not about just like kicking everybody off of your books.
I've seen people screw it up big time.
It's not that at all.
They burn all the bridges.
And also, I will say this, it's also not your job to manage their feelings either. But that's another conversation.
But there are more elegant ways of doing those things. I mean, it breaks my heart when I see the systems and formulas that we have and actually scripts that we have for letting go of clients elegantly without burning bridges, raising your prices, all these kinds of things. And then I see what people outside of Rich Stylists do to try to do these things. I'm like, oh, that's really, really rough for them.
Communication is really important
Yeah.
when you're dealing with people and elevating your business.
Yeah. All right. So that's number one, dream client attraction. Okay. That's all your marketing, messaging, perception, all that kind of stuff. Number two is kind of a two-parter. So this is a really, really interesting one. So piece number two of this, part one of two, is your technical skill. Okay, your technical skill. This is you actually being a good extensionist, right? So this is where certifications are really important, and we love just about every certification out there. We're not certification bias at all, or hair bias, or method bias, nothing like that. So your technical skill is really, really important. You've got to be good at what you do. Okay, surprise. Surprise. If you want to make, what's that?
And
what's that
also
mean?
realistic about your level of expertise.
Right.
Because sometimes that can also be
You need third-party validation
You do need
of how good you actually are or not good. And that is something that I also see people a little bit blinded by, shall we say, because they haven't had that third-party feedback.
You haven't had like a third-party,
or
like,
unbiased
critical
feedback.
eye. Unbiased and critical eye
Yeah.
looking at the work going, here are some tweaks,
Yeah.
small or large,
Right.
that you can make to your work
Right.
to improve it.
So, the problem in the industry right now that I see a lot of is that you've got stylists out there who are really good at step number one. They have really great looking Instagrams. They have beautiful reels. They get a lot of the clients and the inquiries because of that, but they're actually not good at hair extensions. Mm-hmm. And I'm not calling anyone, any company, no particular person out in general. It's just that is part of the shift that we've seen in the industry, that you have people that look really good and have great looking Instagrams, but their technical skills do not match what they're putting out. So this is the whole thing where you see maybe a restaurant where the pictures on the website looked really good, or on their Instagram looked really good, but you went in and tasted the food and it was terrible.
Sure.
That's the kind of thing that goes wrong. So technical skills are really important. Continued education around your technical skills, practice, refinement, new methods, new classes. That's all awesome.
Also, especially with hair extensions, technical skill paired with like the longevity of the wear.
Yeah.
This is actually going to work for the person that you've applied the hair to, like considering their lifestyle and how they take care of their hair, or not how they take care of their hair. So all those things have to be taken into consideration. It's different than, a color or a cut. Mm-hmm. Like someone is wearing what you have applied to their hair. So even if it looks great
walking out of the salon,
exactly, what does it look like in 2 weeks or 2 months? So the technical is encompassing all of that, not just the application in the moment.
Yeah. So technical skill is the first part. The second set of skills in this number 2 skills portion are your business skills. Your business skills. Mm-hmm. You're an entrepreneur. And so this is everything that goes along with being an entrepreneur, having your stuff together, having the big ones that we see are like policies and whether it's just your business systems as well, like
how to be set up legally.
Like your protection, all these kinds of things. Just everything that goes along with being an entrepreneur, payments, bookkeeping, tracking. Like if your business is good, but stuff behind the scenes are a shit show, like that's going to catch up with you at some point. And
it also doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good. You do lose sleep over that.
You do. And I find that people where everything's very, very messy behind the scenes and they know the numbers are messy and they don't know how they're, accepting money from a lot of different places and sources, and it's just not streamlined. I typically see that a stylist like that, they're also not as confident in their business. Like they're not putting themselves out there as much because they have that, what we call approach avoidance, where it's like, oh, I want more clients and I need to promote myself, but also it's such a fucking mess behind the scenes with everything I do. Like, let me just wait. Let me wait till I get this stuff fixed, because then, gosh, if I started putting myself out there and get clients that are, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000+, what am I going to do with that? Like, how am I going to track that? How am I going to, report it in my accounting, and what's the best way? So that becomes a problem. And I always see, once stylists get the systems and everything seamless behind the scenes on the business side, they show up differently to their salon and to social media and to their business and to their clients, because they feel good. They feel confident about their business and how they're showing up as a business owner, a salon owner, a high-end stylist.
Yeah, having all of that stuff together is really important. It is not taught. It is usually figured out. And there's really important implications with that, especially when you start doing higher-end hair extensions.
It's so important with high-end hair extensions, because you're also at the pricing where, like, med spas and plastic surgeons and these types of businesses are. This isn't just, we did a video about this. We said, hair extensions aren't the beauty industry. They're like the luxury industry. It's a totally different price point. So it needs to be thought of as differently in how you show up and how you track it all behind the scenes.
Yeah, and this is also your consultations and your pricing is, these are two business skills. So hear me out really, really clearly on this. The two business skills that we really focus on and that are usually very make or break for extensionists. Number one are your consultations. Okay, so that's a business skill, consultations. The reason why consultations get so skewed in the salon extension industry environment is because you're trying to treat a extension consultation that should be priced at multiple thousands of dollars in the same way that you might treat a cut or a color consultation or discussion. And it's just completely different. It's a completely different process and procedure to being able to comfortably, I guess what we would call in the sales world, like close a consultation client or an extension client. And so it's a totally different process there. We've got a very, very specific process that we walk people through with their consultations. So specific that it not only helps you gather information about the client, but also make sure that you're looking out for the longevity of that client long-term, which, no surprise, helps turn them into a dream client, okay? So even if you didn't think they were a dream client walking in, they can become a dream client through the consultation process because you're looking out for so much more. And so a really, really specific consultation process, no one teaches it the way that we do, because in most certifications, that they can only spend maybe 30 minutes on how to do a consultation. It is the make or break. You could get dream clients walking in the door. You could have the best looking Instagram. You could have 10 different certifications. If you can't confidently close consultations, it is not going to work out for you. You're just going to walk out. It's not going to happen. So the consultation is really, really important. Then the second part of this is pricing. So pricing is like the big thing here. This is where it's the difference between making maybe $6,000 a month with extensions versus $16,000 a month with hair extensions. And this is, I'll say this is probably one of the biggest areas of, I guess, discussion or mystery when people are looking at rich stylists, or even when they come in, they need to get this thing figured out. I have done hundreds of calls with hair extensionists over the years, and I have asked every single one of them about their pricing. And it's basically different every time. It's crazy, the patterns that I've seen there. And also how people don't follow the guidance even of the hair extension certification that they've taken sometimes too. Like, it was told to you what to do.
Typically already not that great.
Yeah, which is typically already not good. It does give like
some sort of baseline, you know, but typically they're even
it's still not
lower
good.
Than that.
And it's funny, like the lie that people get sold when they do the certification is they do the certification, they get given this pricing, and then they're like, this isn't as high as I thought it would be. Like, I'm not going to be making as much as I thought I would here. And it's like, well, yeah, pricing is not the only thing here. The other way that people screw this up is that they see all our stuff with rich stylists and say, oh, if I just raise my prices, that's all I need to do. I'm just got to raise my prices. Okay, that's not going to work either. If you just raise your prices to all the little...
It may help a little.
It might help.
Depending on,
if you don't have this other stuff figured out, though, it's not going to work.
It could.
Yeah.
I mean, most people, I haven't seen a stylist yet that I've met that comes into Rich Stylist that their pricing, I'm like, yeah, I think I'd keep it where it is.
No.
And yeah, it's
No,
always,
I haven't seen that
there's
either.
always area for improvement.
Yeah. And inside of Rich Stylist, we have this, I mean, our pricing training is bomb. It is so good. It's like
bomb.
4.5 hours long.
I'm
It
very
is a
proud of
big,
it.
big deep
Yeah,
dive.
it's awesome.
And people come out after watching that and going through it and going through that pricing process, just super confident with how to price their hair extensions, regardless of the method. So I really love doing that. But yeah, consultations, pricing, those are two really important things. And those are business skills. Okay, those are business skills.
Yes.
Right? So just to recap so far. Number one, we've got dream client attraction. Okay, dream client attraction. Number two, we've got your skills. And inside of your skills, you've got technical skills and you've got business skills. Within business skills, you've got entrepreneurship, consultations, and pricing. Okay, so we're like 3 levels deep there, even with that. All right,
We're
the third
in the
one.
subcategories.
Yeah, all the little subcategories. My head looks like a Google Doc right
Yes.
now, just going through the subcategories.
Mine too.
So the third one is your mindset. Okay, your mindset. And this is so many different conversations around mindset. But this is things like confidence. This is things like boundaries. And there's just so many things that go along with mindset. Money mindset is a big one. I consider like time management, motivation, energy. These are all mindset conversations. And, you know,
Fear of rejection.
yeah, rejection,
perfectionism.
rejection, fear, perfectionism, all these kinds of things.
Who's ever felt or experienced any of those before?
Yeah, no one listening to this podcast.
Shocker. Every single one of us on the planet have.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, it doesn't go away as you grow a bigger and bigger business, but you become better at handling them if you are working with mindset and training and coaching. All that is elevated because problems don't just disappear, challenges don't disappear, but you hopefully get better.
Hopefully, yeah. Well, you need to choose to get better, and the mindset is a really
have to.
important thing.
I think it's make it or break it.
Well, I do. I mean, I look the.
I don't even say I think. I know it's make it or
Well,
break it.
the most direct version of me when I see people that basically hear this framework and kind of know they should be doing better, but they don't because of fear or comfort, right? Comfort is a whole mindset conversation. And they choose to, they think they're not choosing, but like not making a decision is still a decision, right? Because you're like choosing not to decide. And it's not even deciding on Rich Stylist or anything else. It's just not even deciding to go for it, to like put yourself out there,
in your
to try
life.
anything, right?
Yeah.
So that's the saddest reality that I see. And I think that's like the fear and the, there's so many levels to
Also,
that.
that just prolongs everything. It's just literally that. Like, I think one of the worst feelings to be in and to live in is indecision.
Yeah, completely.
Because it's just literally taking up your time and wasting your life away just to sit around and go, oh, I don't know, I'm just not deciding anything, like with anything in your life.
Yeah.
Like the time is still passing, the days are still going by, your life is still passing.
Yeah.
Make a decision.
And sure enough, when you make decisions, like the right doors tend to open up, which is like why I don't believe there's really any such a thing as like a wrong decision.
Yeah.
I think it's just decisions that either work and that you learn some things from, or things don't work. I think
As you had planned, perhaps,
Right.
but then it grows in a different direction.
right, and you can never measure it like in the moment. So you can really only look back on how good or bad decisions were years down the line. So I think decision making is a mindset
Yeah, you can't
conversation
connect
too.
the dots looking forward.
Right.
You can't just know what's going to happen moving forward, but you can connect them looking back.
Yeah. Confidence is probably the biggest mindset conversation that comes up with Rich Stylist and just wanting to grow and get better. It's amazing how many conversations lead back to confidence. And confidence is a muscle, right? It's
Yeah.
not something that you're born with or not. It is a muscle that's developed. Too many people don't force themselves to be in situations where their confidence muscles need to grow. And so sure enough, they wonder why they're like not a confident person.
The other thing is if you are listening to this and you're not feeling very confident in your life right now and you don't know why, I would just ask yourself, in the past, was there a time when I was confident and I felt good and I felt confident about myself and the decisions I was making and who I was and who I was showing up as? And if that's the case, if you have had a time in your life where you felt even a little more confident, it is because like you just said, Alex, that confidence is a muscle. It has to be practiced. So it's like it's literally the same thing as going to the gym. If you were in great shape at one time because you were exercising and toning your body, lifting weights, whatever at one time, and then you sort of stop doing it, well, you kind of don't look the same way anymore. Mm-hmm. You may not feel the same way. It is exactly the same way with confidence. At some point, you were having to practice the skill of confidence, whether it was because you wanted to or you just were forced into a situation. And you just haven't been practicing it. Again, whether out of choice or just things just got the way they were and you didn't really have to do things that pushed you any longer. But it is something that, so what I mean is it doesn't mean that something's wrong with you and you're crazy and you're lazy or these types of things.
Or that it can't be changed.
Or that it can't be changed. Yes, because it absolutely can be changed. Just know if you've ever felt confident before, or even if you never have and you want to, just know that if you see people that are confident, it is because they have chosen and decided to practice that, and they keep practicing confidence, whether they consciously know I'm practicing confidence today. But they're doing things that they have to go, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be confident. I'm just going to go for it. And they keep choosing that over and over and over again. And hey, if they stopped, if they decided to take a 2-year vacation or longer from whatever they were doing, they'd feel a little less confident if they came back to whatever it was before. It is just natural. So just know that it can be built. Confidence can grow.
Confidence is also situational. So you might feel really confident in your skill and in your technique, but not confident in social media, right? Not confident in capturing. You might feel confident in applying bonds, but you might not feel confident in cutting and getting a finished look. So confidence can be really situational as well. So it's a complete... injustice isn't the right word, but it's a complete mislabeling if you ever say I am not confident in just overall, because because there are things that you are confident in. There's probably just areas that you need to build more confidence in. So we won't go down the affirmation rabbit hole on this podcast, maybe for another time. But
well, affirmations are important and they help, but also like confidence
is a story as well.
It's a story, usually. And also it is a practice.
Yeah.
Like if you're confident in your technical skill, you weren't confident the first time you did it because you didn't know how to do it. You learned something new. So again, with confidence and as a coach, I always tell people, I'm like, look back at your history. Like you have evidence for ways that you have gained and grown your confidence. Write them down, like an evidence list, a win list of the things that you have done that have worked and the reasons that you were confident and how you can continue to build upon those now.
So putting this whole thing together, these 3 different steps, the reason that they're all...
Google Doc together right now.
The reason that they're all so important is this situation that I'm about to say. But before I say that, the lie that we all get told, or the trap that we all find ourselves in, not really we, but that you might find yourself in listening to this, is that you think it's just one thing, right? So like you're looking for just the one thing that's going to help my business get to 10K or 20K, whatever it might be. And it's not just one thing. Like, spoiler alert, I can promise you that if you have been wanting to grow your business and it hasn't grown, it is not just one thing, okay? It is not if I just knew how to run Facebook ads. It is not if I just had one more certification. It is not if I just felt better about or had boundaries, right? It is not if I just got my salon policies together. It is not just one thing. It is all of these things, okay? Every different task or roadblock that you could think of fits into one of these 3 categories, okay? Dream client attraction, skills, and mindset. And so the reason that this is so important just on a day-to-day basis and why you're not making the money that you would want to make with hair extensions and getting these kinds of clients is that none of these things work in isolation either. And all that means is this, is that you can't just fix one of them and the rest will fall into place, unfortunately. Wish it was that way, but it's not. So you got to have all 3, because let's say that you were working your butt off, and many people are doing this, right? Or some variation of what I'm about to describe. Let's say that you really went hard on Instagram. Let's say you're taking amazing photos, you're doing the reels, like you're doing all the things on Instagram that you think will work, and it's actually working. Let's say that you're getting more inquiries coming in, more people interested, more messages, all that kind of stuff. So dream client attraction, check, right? Done, got it down. Then let's say that you've really worked on your skill. You've taken multiple classes, you've done some shadow days or one-on-ones, whatever it might be. You feel really, really good about your technique, and you've finally got your stuff together on your business skills, right? You've really walked through your consultations. You've maybe spied on some people in Rich Stylist and looked at the way they do their pricing, and so you've got your pricing down. But when it comes down to it, let's say that you haven't addressed the mindset piece as much as you need to, okay, or as much as you think you might need to. So let's say the clients are coming in, you feel really confident in all these other areas, but here's the kicker. Without the mindset, it's not going to work, because when that client is sitting in your chair, you need to be able to say to that client, hey, dream client, the investment for your extensions today is going to be $2,800 or $3,500 or $4,500, whatever it might be. And you need to be able to say that without tensing up, without freaking out, without
confidence,
tripping over your words, without getting all sweaty and worried and figuring things out. You need to be able to say it with a straight face, completely confident, really elegantly. Because if you don't, I mean, just about everyone listening to this probably believes in like energy and stuff. Like they're a little bit woo. They can kind of feel the way the client feels in those moments. Like if you're not confident,
whether you believe in that somewhere, it's like everybody can go, oh, I felt that things were kind of
that they didn't come across very confident when they said that.
Exactly. Yeah. You can tell when someone's nervous and when someone's confident, even without someone saying something.
Right. Exactly.
Like, that's what we mean.
Yeah. So you need to be able to say that with complete confidence and conviction, because otherwise the other person's going to pick up on the fact that you're not confident, and they're not going to trust you with their hair, first off. They're definitely not going to trust you with their money. And you'll just get the situation where people do the polite ghosting thing, where it's like, okay, yeah, well, thanks for your time. I'll think about it. I'll let you know.
Right.
They walk out. And, that's like, in many cases, that could be $3,000 walking out the door right there. That one service, that one client that you didn't close or have them turn into a client because of the mindset piece. So the mindset piece is really important. I look at it as like the foundation of all of this. If we get mindset at least going and we build a lot of these mindset issues, a lot of other things can fall into place, or at least have a chance of falling into place, because you're not going to be able to tackle any of these things if you don't have confidence, the mindset, the self-worth.
The other thing is, the more your business grows and the higher end services and extensions you're doing, the more people dealing with people's skills, the more dealing with people's skills you must have. Knowing how to articulate what it is you're trying to say, communicating properly. It's almost hard to explain until you have experienced it on like a larger level. But the mindset of handling, dealing, communicating with people is so crucial. It is just one of the number one things in business as you grow.
We've had this discussion a bunch of times inside of Rich Stylist, but I think we need to do an episode on it. So definitely send us a message if you want to hear a podcast on this.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of a trick podcast, but it's how to talk to rich people.
Yeah.
How to talk to rich/wealthy people. There's an interesting discussion around it. It's the title is both deliberate and also a little bit misleading.
It's a really great conversation, because the conversations are and really should be different, especially if you're wanting to have people that have more access to money in your chair, essentially.
Yeah.
People that are happy and willing and excited to pay much higher end prices for your services, if that's what you want.
Yeah.
The conversation is different.
Yeah, totally. And the way you approach those conversations are different. And sure enough, I mean, plot twist, without giving away the whole thing, it becomes the way you approach everything, right? It's just actually having more confidence regardless of whatever status you think someone has. It also comes back to not prejudging. Yeah, so a couple of twists and turns there. Anyway, the mindset piece is really important. You got to have that confidence. Otherwise, a 3K client can just walk out. And you know, the crazy thing, just coming back to the start of the discussion around 10K months, one really good client, and I saw Jimmy in the group actually, you know, he shared that one of his clients, like total year spending with him has been over $10,000, right?
Exactly.
Just for the year.
Exactly.
So all of a sudden, right, let's just run some numbers. One dream client annualized, meaning over 12 months, depending on the method,
exactly,
could very easily be worth $10,000. One client.
Easily, if not more.
Very
But
easily.
easily, yeah. You can about like 10, I mean, I would say 8 to 15,000
Yeah.
average
Yeah.
with your high end, but also average price services. Really what they should be, a little bit on the higher end level.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, right there,
it's not just, you know, the income from that one service.
Right.
It's the
if they're a dream client and
year
you,
to date.
yeah. So big businesses, by the way, they look at things on an annual basis. They don't pay as much attention to like day-to-day expenses, although there are people that have to pay attention to those, obviously.
Yes.
But when they are making decisions for the business, they tend to look at things on a larger scale.
What is that one customer worth essentially to the company?
Right. And so they look at things in quarters, in financial years, in annual years. So what we're saying here is that one client can very easily be worth $10,000 a year to your business, even on average. Mm-hmm. So you want to have a 6-figure business, 100K, you need 10 clients.
10 great clients.
10 great clients.
Come on.
Which
Come
is like,
on, guys.
No, but like that might sound
yeah.
unfathomable to people. Like, how could I have a literally a 6-figure business on 10 clients? But you could. You actually could.
Absolutely.
If you decided and learned how to design that thing and probably got some extra help, but you actually could have that. And then all of a sudden, it's not that surprising when you see stylists inside of Rich Stylists that make $200,000, $300,000 a year. It's because they have capacity for more than 10 clients.
Obviously.
Obviously.
And they learn the system, know the system, scaled the system.
Yeah.
Like that is
That's where the
the
scale comes in.
magic.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's those three things. And I know we've obviously tailored a lot of this back to Rich Styles because that's our only reference point for this. But I'll be honest with you, that this is the formula, right? Like after years of doing this is the formula for success inside of the world of hair extensions. Okay. Mm-hmm. I haven't found a stylist that can poke holes in this formula. Anything that they say that is required to make 10K, whatever level of income inside of hair extensions, fits into one of these categories, okay? Dream client attraction, which is your marketing. You've got your skills there, and then your mindset. I haven't been able to find anyone that can challenge that.
I mean, it's
or poke holes in it.
what it takes.
Yeah.
These are the three areas.
Yeah. So the challenge or the question now becomes, what are you doing about those areas? And the trap I see most people in is they're trying to fix them all very inefficiently. And what that means is that to work on their client attraction, they are, buying a little Instagram course, or they're hiring a website person, or they're looking at ads, or trying to run an ad for $10 a day. And so they're piecing this together really inefficiently. And then they're going and getting a bunch of certifications with different companies, and then they're using this software and, just really trying to piece things together themselves, which becomes really inefficient. And then they're reading The Secret on the side and working on their mindset and doing the affirmations in the mirror. They're trying to piece all these things together themselves, like I said. And it tends to not work. It's like spinning plates, really.
It's just a lot.
Yeah, it's just a lot all at once among running a business, being a human, having a family, all this kind of stuff. And also doing things in the wrong order can screw things up as well. So having that outside perspective of someone saying, okay, your skill is good, but we've got to work on your marketing. And by the way, I don't know if you've noticed, you have a terrible money mindset, so let's work on that too. These are the really important things, and you've got to address these challenges in the right order if you want to see the success. Otherwise, unfortunately, I see this too often. It's people that have been working on these things, and it actually feels like they're working on these things, right? They have evidence to say, I'm working on this.
Listen,
I hired this team.
busy being busy sometimes feels good.
Totally, yeah. So changing that and having it all done the right way and with the goal and direction of hair extensions. That's the big thing here, because you can read The Secret about the law of attraction, and I'm just giving that as an example, right? It's not necessarily on our Rich Styles reading list, but
It's
you
not,
can,
actually.
yeah, it is not.
I do like the movie.
Sure, it's
not,
fine.
though. Yeah.
But you can work on all of those things, but it doesn't say anything about hair extensions. You could go and hire
It also
ad
barely says
experts.
what the secret is.
Yeah. You can go and hire ad experts or an agency. They know nothing about hair extensions. They don't know that even if they get you to the top of Google, what does your consultation process look like on the other side?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's super inefficient to try to figure out these things
the thing
in
is,
isolation.
you'll actually just typically spend a lot of money in a lot of different places with a lot of different people where they have really no business to look in other areas, because it's not their business. They're only focused on their one thing they're being paid for. And they also wouldn't know what they're looking for anyway. So you can just really burn a lot of money quickly, which we actually saw that happen.
Wasn't someone recently?
So a stylist and Rich Stylist told me, we just had a meetup recently, and she said, yeah, I was talking to this girl on Instagram. I don't know who the girl was she was talking to, but she said, I was talking to this girl on Instagram, and she said, I guess she replied to one of the stylist stories saying, oh, what a cool meetup, da-da-da-da, and the Rich Stylist said, oh, you should totally be a part of it. It's a great community. And she goes, oh, you know what? I wish I would have. She said, I did a call, I think, in the past, last year or something, and I decided to hire a Facebook ads agency instead of Rich Stylist. And she said, but I wish I hadn't done that, because I spent $20,000 on the Facebook ads and the Facebook ads agency, and I literally didn't get anything from it, essentially. And I was like, shit, that sucks. But we've seen that happen before.
Totally.
I mean,
all the time.
It's really unfortunate, because and they also make typically Facebook ad agencies, which can be good in certain instances.
They will tell you, by the way, that they did their job.
Well, they did do their job.
They did do their job.
They did their job doing the ads.
Yeah.
They did, I don't know what the problem was. You would have had to look through the whole ad. It may not have even been the ad that was the problem.
I can tell you the general
you know more
setup though. Yeah, they could easily say to you, well, we sent you 300 leads.
Right.
Right. But if you have no process to qualify those leads, right, or no process
also, 300 leads can also be they can be shit leads.
Well, of course.
I sent 300 people your way.
Yeah, they can be terrible. Now, these companies can say, well, we delivered on our promise and we got you the leads. But if they're shit leads and that because they don't understand the full scope of hair extensions and what it entails and the kind of clientele that you're trying to attract, yeah, it's just terrible. I mean, I've heard the story way too much. Same.
Yeah, exactly.
Same as with Google, by the way. Same as with Facebook. But all these little shiny buttons. And again, those things are important. I'm not discrediting any of those. But in isolation, that's not the thing. This is also where, I could give an example for all of these things, right? It's like you get a business coach, right? And your business coach is really, really good at optimizing your systems, all that kind of thing. But they're no good at attracting clients. So you've got this great back-end system and you've got all your contracts and your policies all in order, but you suck at attracting clients. You've got nothing out there that makes you look good. And maybe you're just not a good extensionist, honestly, right? You've taken a couple of classes.
It sounds harsh, but it's actually true.
Listen, after doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of calls, right? People are good. People are good at some things, but they lack these different areas.
Also, some people are good at certain methods, and other methods they're just terrible at.
Totally. Or
it's just the truth.
Or they couldn't service the kind of client that they're trying to attract. No. And then I see other people.
Now, everyone can get better.
Yeah,
I do believe that everyone can get better,
of course
for sure. You also have to be open to the actual truth and feedback that...
Well, and so, again, just while I'm at it, I'll give another scenario. Yeah. The other scenario is that we've had people do calls with Rich Stylist Academy that have 14 certifications.
Oh, yeah.
14 certifications. So here's what that tells me.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It ain't the certifications, right? You're really high in technical skill, really, really great savvy stylist, but all these other areas aren't figured out. And then I also see people that have mindset coaches and they do all the mindset stuff and they're great from a mindset perspective, great to talk to, suck at marketing, have no systems, and so it's it's not just one or two of them. You really need all three. Okay, I can't
Yes.
stress that enough. The way I picture it, it's like
totally.
a table or a stool or a chair with three legs. And if you took one of them away, the whole thing would just fall off, right? Most people, if they have a three-legged chair or table or whatever it might be, the legs are different sizes. The reason that we know these things to be true, not only because it's been proven with hundreds of Rich Stylist Academy members, is because this is the stuff that you figured out, right? The difference is it took you 10 years. It's
what I figured out, and combined with Alex's long history of marketing skills combined, it's what works. And a long time ago, I moved 5 different times, 3 different cities, and I didn't have a guide. I didn't have a coach. I did figure it out as social media was unfolding and all the things. And it took a lot of damn time. And it doesn't have to be that way anymore. I wish I could pay instead of going through the time. I'm 37 now. Would I love to have fast track and have like 5 years back?
Yeah.
And been able to grow my business quicker and have the lifestyle that I wanted quicker? Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah. I think there's another thing to realize is that the most expensive, I guess, like tax we're all paying is what I call the ignorance tax. Like not knowing how to make $10,000 a month is likely costing you $10,000 a month. So like, let's just pretend for a second that, I mean, we believe this obviously, but this is the formula, right? And you can get these things, wave a magic wand in all these different areas of your life would be strong. And that would have you make $10,000 a month. Let's say that you're making $6,000 a month right now, and you want to be making $10,000 a month, just at a minimum, which not even to mention that ain't a lot of money in 2024 anymore. It's costing you, right? If you can follow this, it's costing you $4,000 a month to not know how to make $10,000 a month. And you can't get back every $4,000 a month that goes by. Kind of like high level Yoda shit that we're talking about here.
Yes,
yeah,
of course.
but there is a cost of not knowing. There's a cost of not doing because you can't get the time back. That's just plain and simple the way it is.
I would just to even maybe spell it out in simpler terms with an example would just be, maybe the money you're making now, maybe the money you've made over, let's just say, the last 2 years. If you think back 10 years ago, you didn't know, the skills or the certifications or charging the prices maybe that you're charging now. But looking back, if you would have known the things or perhaps had the certifications or had the, support system, whatever it is that has led you to make the money that you do right now, you could have had it back then.
Yeah.
Too. But it took whatever implementation. So it's like the money that you could have made back then, you make it now.
Yeah, because you didn't know better, right?
Yeah, so you could say, well, I could have made $10,000 a month 5 years ago if I would have just known what I know now.
Right.
So that's money that you were, quote, losing.
Yeah.
You could have made.
Yeah.
That's what essentially an example.
Yeah. And then how much compounded over X amount of years would you have?
You would make a lot more now.
Yeah, would you be better off? Yeah. So there's that theory. I mean, that is just a reality. It's not a very happy thing to think about, but I think that also brings me back to a point that I think about a lot, which is mistakes are way more expensive than investments. I mean, and
of course,
it's a bittersweet feeling hearing that story that you shared before of like someone that was weighing the two options of Rich Stylist versus ad agency, and she kind of went the other way, which again, totally fine. Like people can make their own decisions.
I will say at least she made a decision.
At least you made a decision.
I'm like, it sucked, but at least you made one. You tried, and
it's not like it's really just an expensive lesson. It's like, okay, that wasn't the way.
Yeah.
Like it is just an expensive lesson. We've all made expensive lessons in our life. We're just trying to mitigate the ones that we do make. So yeah, I mean, I'm just a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in, I call it like a time machine. I think coaching and getting help and support is a time machine because with these 3 things that we've shared, you, the listener, you can just work on these areas yourself. You can go figure it out yourself.
We get to take the wisdom and the expertise and the really the time that someone else took, and they get to put it into you.
That's what coaching is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's what we mean by it's a time machine. You didn't have to go through that time or whatever that other person went to be able for them to like invest that back in you.
And to get the result.
Yeah.
So you can, like even with this formula, now you know, right? Those are the things that you need to do. Your decision that you need to cross at some point soon, now would be a good time, is are you
When
going
would
to
now be a good time?
are you going to figure this out on your own, or are you going to do it with coaching and support? And obviously that's, surprise, that's Rich Stylist Academy. That's what we help you do. But I felt really compelled to share this formula. I wish it was, I actually wish it was explained in every certification class and
Really
just said,
in life,
yeah, I
to
mean,
be honest. I mean,
this is a really important
marketing,
formula.
mindset, skills. I mean, hey, what industry does that not work in?
Well, just like if nothing else, taking away from this conversation that it's not just one thing,
Yes,
right?
huge.
And that, if anything, should actually make you feel better, right? Because it's not just, oh, I suck at Instagram or I have a bad mindset. It's like you've got to work on all of these areas for it to get better and for it to work efficiently. Okay.
Also, business is all encompassing now. It's not just one thing. Also, you can save yourself the headache and the disappointment of, well, I took this workshop and they said,
And
this
it
is
didn't
the
work.
one thing.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you only know this one, because we all, I mean, that's not true. I mean,
Yeah.
it's maybe a good marketing thing to say, but you don't have to keep disappointing yourself. Well, I did that one thing and it still didn't work.
Well, yeah, I mean, like if you're like many people I've done, not many people, but a handful of people I've done calls with, if you're 14 certifications in and you're still not making 10 grand a month, this formula should actually make you feel better.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the certifications, it's some other things
I would
that
think,
you
if I
need to get
just
better
kept
at.
thinking it was one thing and I just felt like I was doing one thing and I just sort of,
I would feel like I keep making mistakes.
Exactly. I would feel like I'm failing over and over again
it's
when I
not
keep
that.
thinking, well, I just did the one damn thing. Why is it not working?
And by the way,
And that's not the case.
I'll say after doing so many calls with people looking at Rich Stylist Academy, most people have a few of these figured out, right? Like, so actually most people looking at Rich Stylist, they're actually really good technically. I will say that. I mean, just about everyone that looks at Rich Stylist Academy, they're really strong on their technical skill. And many of them are actually pretty good on their business skills, right? They're all sorted out and figured out there. It's usually a case of client attraction. I'm not getting the right people. And mindset's a tough one because even people that think they have good mindset, there might be some other things that only become evident when you talk to a coach. But yeah, most people looking at Rich Stylist Academy anyway are already pretty developed in some of these areas. Okay, usually maybe 1 to 2 of them. It's these other things that they need help and support with. And so that's not unusual as well. Like if you feel, oh, I'm not good at any of those things, you probably are good at some of them and you're confident in some, but it's got to be all of them. So don't keep falling into the trap of, oh, if I only just kept doing this one more thing or just got these one... or like if I just had more clients coming in or if I just had better marketing, that would fix it. That's not the only thing. And let us know, I guess, head to your Instagram, leave a comment on the latest post.
Yeah, leave a comment on my latest post and let me know what you'd like to hear more of.
And if anything has spoken to you in this episode and you want to reach out about Rich Stylist Academy, you can message Ashley's page. You can go to richstylist.com and just fill in some info there. You and I get on a call and we chat about it and see if it's a fit for you. And if it is, great. If it's not, that's totally cool too. We give you some other help and resources and send you on your way. So if this has resonated with you, come and chat and come and see what Rich Stylist is all about. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, guys.